Straight from Japan, baby. So let's get to it. And we got a lot of boxes here, so let's start on the side. Legend of Mana, Ultimania. Okay. This is by Squaresoft. It's actually just a crappy third-party controller, I believe, so that's no good. Let's put that aside. Like a pack of memory cards. And something else, actually. What on earth are these? All right, let's get to these games. So first things first, we got not one, but 2 copies of Dino Crisis. Fucking awesome. Dino Crisis. Never heard of this game, but it looks pretty sweet, and it's published by Capcom. $19.99. Take a look at this manual. It's very nice. It's like mint condition. I mean, you couldn't believe how crisp this manual is. Oh, you even got your characters. Gale, Rick, Dr. Kirk, Regina. Pretty cool. Now, it's interesting, actually, to think that in PS1 games, the front of the manual actually serves as the cover of the game. So it makes them put a lot more effort. Here's the manual. Nice. There's multiple discs. And the other disc is behind the manual. Beautiful. 3-disc set. Gundam Generation Zero. This is special, folks. Disc 3 is in the front. Open for disc 1. And the ever elusive disc 2 right there. And saving presumably the best for last, we have Squaresoft Parasite Eve. This game is intriguing. Beautiful. Multiple discs. Inserts still available. And a beautiful manual. Okay. I think I'm gonna need to take a breather. Now, this Japanese PlayStation is very unique. And as you can see from first glance, it does not bear the typical PlayStation branding logo. And unfortunately, this box is quite damaged, but let's briefly just take another look at some other angles on this box here. As you can see, the model number. And a 250 gigabyte hard drive. For the time, that was pretty large. This is quite the instruction manual. Very hefty. Now, you may be wondering, why are there so many instructions here? Well, the answer revolves around the specific utility of this console, and we will be reviewing that. Now, the way this console was designed allows you to position it in several different ways. First thing that you notice is that the PSX logo is facing a certain way, meaning you can stand up the console like this on these stands here, and although this is the back of the console where you will be plugging in your AV cables and other inserts here, as you may be aware, this was actually designed as a digital recording device, a DVR. The console was released in Japan only in 2003. Here's the front of the console if you lay it down. And this little cover right here, unfortunately my hook broke on the right side, so it does fall off. But underneath, you got memory card slots, these buttons, USB, several other things. Now lastly, before we finally turn on the PlayStation X, I'm gonna go ahead and plug in a white DualShock 2 into that back port. It should be noted that this does have an Ethernet port. And it does not actually come with a regular PlayStation DualShock controller, but it comes with a remote control, fitting for the purpose of such a device. Now, as you can see, this remote has the characteristic PlayStation face buttons and is all around just a nice looking remote. And one final fun fact about the controllers is that they did make a specific controller for the PlayStation X, which was actually longer. The cable was longer due to this little slot over here, which forces you to plug your controller over here. Naturally, the PSX does not have HD capability. And curiously, as you can see, I'm actually on an XMB screen, which the PSX was the first console to introduce this. For some reason, I'm not really sure why, in the background there's just static. Let's see if we can get out of this. All right. I just opened up something random. Okay, good. I've ended the static. So now, also, speaking of the XMB, you can actually connect a PSP to the system. Now this is the channel TBS. Don't seem to be acquiring that channel. But it's interesting that you can actually read the TBS channel. It enabled recording, and as you can see, you have the LEDs flashing. These are recordings that are on the hard drive. So this is actually recording of real Japanese TV. It's a lot of them too, wow. And music. So here we got the music player. So not only do I have an amazing rare device made by Sony, I have a piece of Japanese culture attached to it. And that's something you can't necessarily buy all the time. There's a lot of songs I hear too. So we've explored the XMB and the other capabilities of the PSX. Now, let's look to some games. And let's start with the PlayStation console. Now, this may be, to my knowledge, the only 007 game on PlayStation 1 released in Japan. Back to the Pierce Brosnan days. Tomorrow Never Dies. Describes the story of the movie, which is pretty cool. Look for it on VHS, folks. And that's awesome. Pierce Brosnan underneath the... Here we are. Now, this is back in the day when they used to just merge clips together from the movie with the game. So it just gives you that that very hard juxtaposition. I love how the difficulty is just some Japanese words and then 007.
Filthy habit.
Of course, I'm guessing this is like operative or agent or something. But of course, we gotta go with 007, baby.
Backseat driver.
Love these kinds of briefings.
007偵察衛星がロシア国境の軍事基地上空にいます。
Our man's in position on the center camera. It's like a terrorist supermarket.
I am a bit disappointed. I thought it would be English with just subtitles.
GPS 衛星の位置を不法に解読しています。最初の任務は空軍がアンテナを爆撃できるよう
I guess this is the Japanese Judi Dench.
IDs.
は十分な距離を置くように。
So naturally, as a PS1 game, you need to use the D-pad to move. But actually, the graphics are pretty good. Haven't figured out how to shoot. X, naturally. Okay, so right off the bat, I can tell L2 and R2 are strafing left and right, so this is basically kind of like a siphon filter clone in terms of the gameplay. But it's actually, I remember playing this game back in the day. Damn good game. Another thing is the soundtrack is golden. No pun intended. Well, it's not really a pun, but I think you get it. Now 007 difficulty is actually a little hard.
And as a nice little bonus, this is the Sony Pocket Station, a very rare handheld console. I do have some batteries in there, but for some reason, not turning on. It's very similar to Biohazard, aka Resident Evil. Very unique game, highly acclaimed by critics. Crash Bandicoot. Another copy of Dino Crisis. Dino Crisis! And these are my American games that you can't play, but I guess I can throw them in there. Driver 2. Great game. World is Not Enough. This is a great game. Air Combat, not so much. There you have it, folks. That's the PlayStation 1 games for PSX. Of course, those are what I have. You can, of course, play any game that's Japanese region. But yeah, let's continue on to the next generation, shall we? It may be a bit confusing considering how the name PSX was given to the original PlayStation in an English context. So when you think of the PSX, you might be tempted to think of it only as a PlayStation 1, but it is indeed a PlayStation 2. And we have an assortment of some Japanese PlayStation 2 games here. And I think we can just go through them really quickly. GTA Vice City, Tom Clancy's Splinter Cell 1, Medal of Honor Rising Sun, Gran Turismo 4. This is a prologue that comes with the console, which is actually where that controller comes from, not from this. I think we're gonna go ahead and play the Japanese version of SOCOM 1, which is a heavily different cover from its American counterpart. As the back just simply has that. No screenshots from the game, curiously. Dramatically different on the inside as well, as you have your disc, like very typical for Japanese games to have these kind of metallic discs